Welcome to the main zone. I am Jermaine. Thank you for tuning my podcast. Wherever you are, however you're listening, just know I really appreciate it as always. Just keep liking, keep subscribing. For everybody out there that's been a subscriber, thank you. Seriously, I think I'm up to 125 on YouTube. So without people subscribing, as with anything, it gets discouraging when you're doing something, trying to grow something. So for those that have subscribed, thank you. For those that are listening for the first time, I appreciate it. Got a lot of good things in this episode as we're talking about Deion Sanders, and instead of me just doing it myself, I brought on a good friend by the name of James Swan. As we discussed the move of Deion, and several other topics that we get to in a second. But first, I did do my NBA preview, but I ran into some technical difficulties, so I'm still going to release that one. I just need to edit it a little more, and I'll do that and get it out to you all. And then that's really it. We're in the holiday season, so hope everybody's doing well. Um, it's the special time of the year, so enjoy your family while you can, and just spend time with them during this season. Well, like I said, my buddy James Swan hopped on. We actually did it on IG Live, and so when you're listening to this or watching it, um, it's a little bit different because we did it on live, and then I just uploaded it to my to Spotify and to YouTube and to all that stuff. So let me tell you a little background about. We all call him Swan, so James Swan, but all his friends call him Swan. He had his undergrad degree from Oakwood University in management. Then he got his master's degree from Strayer University in marketing. He's a serial entrepreneur. He actually owns an investor and an owner of group homes, WeCare Alabama. He also owns a marketing and promotion company, the Swan Company. Avid sports guy, huge sports fan, loves talking business, and elevating young people to be more knowledgeable about business. And then before I hop off and let you, like it transitions to the live, I will say the greatest thing, well, one of the greatest things about Swan is that there's not a bone in his body that doesn't want everyone around him and even strangers to be successful. I've known him for about over 20 years now, and he's just a man of principle, a man of wanting others to be successful. And as you'll see us discuss, it's something that we all need to do for each other. Always uplift one another and push each other's goals. And that's something that Swan has always done. He probably doesn't even know this, but I'm not even going to share the piece of advice that he gave me. But years ago when I lived in Alabama, I'm thinking, let me see, 8, 9, no, about 10 or 11 years ago, he gave me a piece of advice that I still think about all the time. And so for you, Swan, if you're listening again, I appreciate that advice. You can text me if you want to know what it was. But again, for those that are listening for the first time, thank you. Or watching for the first time, thank you. For those that are listening and you're a subscriber, thank you. Keep listening. I'm going to keep putting out content. And we are going to get into some topics that are not sports related, and also interview. I have a list of people that I do want to interview. So we'll keep it rolling. We'll keep it rolling. So again, happy holidays, and we're going to transition now to our live. So there'll be a little gap in it, but then we'll transition to our live where we discuss Deion Sanders, HBCUs, and some advice that Swan would like to share with all young people. Have a good one.
What up, man? All right, thank y'all. What's up, man? Yeah, I'm waiting on Swan to get on so we can get this started. Can you hear me though? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. All right. It says you're unable to join, Swan. Oh, I gotta get down with this tech stuff. Uh, I invited you. Did you answer the reply? Hey, so it's just y'all three on here right now, so help me out. I sent you an invite. I invited you to join. Man. Invite. Hey, did you get the invite? I said yes. All right, there we go.
What's up, man?
What's up, man? All right, let's talk about Deion here in a second. First, though, hey, did you throw some? Because I am gonna load this to my podcast, well, the Spotify and everything. So thanks for joining me, Swan. Appreciate it, man. Everybody, James Swan, known this guy like about 20 years now. Been a long time. Both went to HBCUs, Oakwood. But first, before getting all that, man, tell me how your trip was. I mean, you went
Oh,
to the motherland.
I went out there. It was amazing. It's one of my bucket list items. Uh, it's a lot. Like it was a lot. It's amazing to see, what our people have done and how they have Americanized, like taking advantage of it by making money off of it. But the essence of it was just mind blowing. Just to see the pyramids, to see the people, to see women covered in gowns. That was like my first time ever seeing so many women just covered in that nature. You hear them, you hear the churches in the middle of the night praying, throughout the day praying, the different religions. It's very eye opening because, I've been in America all my life, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? When you see something like that, it's a cultural change. And as you can see, COVID had my hair a certain way, my beard, and I kind of like blended in with the people. And it was something that I enjoyed tremendously, tremendously.
Man, no, man, that sounds, I mean, awesome, beyond awesome. I mean, just to be amongst, you know, back in Egypt for how long were you there?
I was out there 5 days. Um, but to see the kids, to see children and people who have built those pyramids, I don't know how they built those pyramids so long ago. It's amazing just to see uh, their work ethic, their mind, uh, their ability to engineer, uh,
Hmm.
creative. It's something that just they did that hundreds of years ago. And for us to be trying to still figure out how they did it, uh, that's amazing to me.
I mean, yeah, because even if you think of somebody like Joe Rogan, who's always talking about the pyramids,
Yeah.
how it's mind blowing once people see them in person. It's
It,
like, and then to take away the fact that what we've been taught so much about who our people are, of not being as intelligent and all those type of things, and then to find out like, yo, these are probably the smartest people in the world.
Right, and it just even goes back to, I guess, some of the things. I know we're gonna be talking about. Uh, who are we talking about here?
Deion, man.
But it goes back to Kanye, Kyrie,
Oh yeah.
and some of the things that they have been saying that I know that gets a lot of people irritated and upset. But there's a lineage that they're us and try to share that sometimes share it in the way that we can't in America.
Mm-hmm.
But when you trace back where we from
Mm-hmm.
and read the Bible and you engage in the ideology of who we are,
Mm-hmm.
it points back to the original place, who our skin color, our
Right.
hair, all those things, and we just have to be enlightened and in tune. And when you go out there, you actually will see that our color, our skin tone is pretty much ideal to them. But the biggest problem is the lack of respect for Black Americans. They do see you as a Black American.
Just share a little bit more about that then.
I just think we just have a stereotype. I think we've been stereotyped for so long that image of who we are and where we came from and where we went to and how we were taken, what we became in America and what we're trying to become in America, they still see us as equals, based on work ethic or based on the decisions we've made, based on how much we have yet to come together. Going back to even this Deion thing has divided us. For what reason? I have no clue why we're divided over this, because we have different perspectives, different ideas, different thoughts of it. But it is what it is. It is
Right.
what it is.
Well, even let's transition that then. So the whole Deion thing, because if you look on, I mean, I've looked at people on Facebook and you're watching sports talk, and they're so far on the other end of it. But the fact that even on say something so casual as a Facebook post about what are your thoughts on Deion turns into an argument.
Right.
With our own people, and we're the only people doing that. Because if Saban went from Alabama to LSU or Alabama to NFL, or even when Brian Kelly went from Notre Dame to LSU, there was not outraged by his group of people
Right
on the move.
But but our ideology, to me, we got a whole lot of, we always are talking about entertainers and athletes. But we have this same issue in every single department in our HBCU schools. Like, we always want to talk about the basketball and the football side, but are the best teachers teaching our kids in HBCU schools, in our departments, in our business schools, in our dental schools? Like, it's way larger than the Deion, but we want to focus on Deion and not really realize that Deion has just highlighted what's actually wrong with HBCU schools.
Oh.
For me, you know.
So all right, so give me, so before we get into all of that, give me what you think Deion should have. Well, what is your take on what Deion did? And I'll tell you what I think. What I think about it.
I mean,
and then we're going more into it.
From a personal standpoint, he has to take the job. You know,
okay.
Personal standpoint. However, from my standpoint, let me just say this. There was a quote in MSNBC that I wanted to say that Deion said, that when I was around Hunter's age, I turned down a full scholarship at a premier HBCU because I was a teenager who was obsessed with proving myself to white people. Didn't believe a degree from there would be as valuable as one from the bigger, wealthier white school that had accepted me. While I don't regret choosing the school I did, I almost immediately regretted my reason for rejecting the black school. And I've often wondered how my life would be different had I made the other choice. As illogical as it may sound, I was hoping Hunter's success at Jackson State would show me how well things would have gone for me if I made a different choice. That's what Deion said. You can debate this, that, and the third, but Deion recruited based on that. You know what I'm saying? And he has the objective prerogative to go. Go. But when you make statements like that, we have the right to have an opinion and object. If I was a parent of a kid that was at Jackson State who was an average kid who felt like Deion being a coach could take my son to another level, I would be very upset today.
Okay, so I agree with you on that from this standpoint. I think his intentions, me personally, I think he took the job because he didn't want to be an assistant coach somewhere else. And he got the head job at Jackson State. I don't think his intentions were ever to be there 5, 10, 15 years. It was just a stepping stone to get somewhere else. But the problem is I don't think he articulated that enough to all of his big time prospects that he brought in as if he was going to be here long term. And those average guys, now they're stuck in the middle because they're not good enough to hit the portal and go to some of these big schools. Now Travis Hunter, he can go anywhere.
But the rest to me, there's only one average player he was concerned about and why he began at Jackson State versus and that's his son.
That's his son. That's his son.
If his son was a D1 quarterback coming out of high school, I don't think this would have been an objective of his to be hit in the way that he tried to go about it this way. He wanted to coach his son on a deep, and he wasn't able to. Jackson State provided that for him, and as 1 year, 2 more years left, they have to take it to the next level.
Well, my thing with everybody being upset with him, and this is my whole synopsis of the whole thing, is that he did his job there. He was 27-5. Okay, he got Travis Hunter in there. He brought something around $30 million to Jackson State as far as the city during his tenure there. But to me, it even goes back to like I say, using Jerry Jones as part of the example. Everybody's up in arms about Jerry Jones standing out there when he's 14 years old. Okay, yeah, he was out there. And it was he needs to hire black coaches, or we need to have more black owners and all this kind of stuff. But eventually you have to have a seat at that table that allows that type of power. Going to the Pac-12, Deion now has that type of power. There's not a black coach in the SEC that's a head coach. Herm Edwards was over at Arizona State, but he got fired. Remember, he got fired during the game. Like the game ended this year, they fired him. They walking off the field firing this guy. So I look at Deion as if, let me ask you a question. Who do you think Deion's going to surround himself with? What type of coaching?
Great coaches. Amazing coaches.
But what are they going to look like?
Pro coaches, black.
Okay. So by him hiring those guys, and if he has, let's say 2 years great or decent at Colorado, those guys are now his offensive coordinators and his defensive coordinators are then have the ability to go to some of these other bigger programs and make a name for themselves. But you have to first get a foot in the door. He's got name recognition. He's going to bring in all these transfer portal kids. He's going to turn Colorado around relatively quickly if his son can play quarterback.
Listen, he has to take the job for that reason.
Right. Okay, we agree on that. Good.
You know, I'm disappointed that our standard has to be that instead of our own. And what I'm going back to, how does it look for? How do we recruit that black male who's dynamic in biology, who's dynamic in business, who's dynamic in these areas, and we say those schools are better than our schools. You know what I'm saying? That's the dynamic that I'm concerned about, because we know we see the pathway to excellence in sports.
Okay, true.
we see that pathway, but
Mm-hmm.
but it should resonate. For instance, everybody that plays sports, I'll give you a perfect example. Everybody that plays sports in HBCU schools don't make it to that level. But let's look at football. I mean, look at coaching. Let's look at a physical therapist. Are they going to still be able to get those D1 schools by going to those HBCU schools? You know what I'm saying? Like that Jackson State major who wants to coach, is he going to be relegated to HBCU schools because he went to a HBCU school?
Because of the network that he has there. It's basically that small network.
Right.
But again, that's why Deion had to make the move. But it goes with, I think Deion's doing it from the right place, and that is in this. He's going to surround himself with others that are like him. And I think that's the key in so many of our professions, especially once you work in athletics. When you work in athletics and sports, if you are the one that broke through, you must pull the people through with you.
Yeah, but
And
that's very important. But what's even more, I'm not gonna say harmful, but what's even more, he now still has a load on his back, just like he went to HBCU as a black man to be successful because he's Deion. He now has a bigger, to me, it's not, can't lose here. Like he can't, you know what I'm saying? He could fail at the HBCU level and be all right. But he can come here and fail after what has happened in Jackson State. Time heals all wounds. I kind of relegate this situation to, of course, the LeBron decision. LeBron made that decision. We was up in arms. We felt like he did this. We didn't do that. But over time, because he was successful, because he rose above vision. Now, if he had never won and he went to Miami and didn't win, we would be talking. We would say that
we still be talking about him right now.
Because he's a winner now. Well, a winner, you know, that we don't talk about it as much anymore. So Deion has to win, not just for himself, and that's, to me, that's just unfair that we now have given him the black title now as a coach to be successful in order for other coaches to be head coaches. And I think it's unfair because there are coaches who don't have the persona as Deion, who don't have the cachet as Deion, who are great coaches. You know what I'm saying?
No, I agree with you. And that goes back to like the pressure that he's going to be under, the microscope that he's going to be under to turn them around relatively quickly is so unfair. And it's because a lot of times when you get this shot at a Power 5 school, if you fail, you don't get another one.
Right.
And it's much different than our other brethren. And I'll use the example of Steve Sarkisian. You got to remember, he was at USC, showed up drunk at a news conference. They let him go, but he ends up at Bama as the offensive coordinator for a couple of years. And then, boom, there he goes. He's a Texas head coach. So it's like that relationship will allow him to just keep on moving because he's not held to the same high standard. Right. Now, success in Colorado, I would say his first year, 7-5. They were 1-11, man.
Listen, it's two things. If his son is not like, if his son is not, that's going to hurt him from a professional standpoint.
Well, you know even the fact that he told the quarterback at Colorado,
yes,
he said, "Hey," he told the quarterback, "I already got my quarterback. You need to hit the portal."
Right,
like golly,
he can't compete.
And that's the thing. You can't allow him not to be just to hand him the job because now you're not. This is not an HBCU. This is not Jackson State. He can go out right now. Technically, he can go out and get one of these big time quarterbacks if he wanted to. Hits the portal. He can get the kid out of Clemson.
Yeah,
he might be able to get the kid out of Clemson if he really wanted to, but he doesn't want to. I get it, but you can't allow your love of your son,
or should you? See. This goes back to what they do versus what we do, or what we. You know what I'm saying? If Peyton Manning was over in Colorado, for sure he's bringing his nephew.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
No, I think he's got to give his son that first shot at it and give him the first year,
yeah,
like without even stress. Like let him play, let him do his thing, put him in the right system, and don't think he's going to air it out at all times. But he's going to be able to get some better weapons than he had even at Jackson State. You got to keep that in mind too.
and is he gonna put his son's success over his success?
Well, if he's a good father, he won't. And I think Deion's a decent father.
I know, but what I'm saying is he gonna? Is his other son coming as well?
I know though. I know one will be working in the athletic department because he's not a player. His oldest one.
Corner.
Of course, he's coming. Yeah, of course he's coming. Because he gets one more chance to hit the portal, so of course he's coming. He's going to be able to have the ability to turn them around relatively fast. He really is because of the transfer portal, how it operates. So he can actually go get
The player.
solid backups. You got to remember the Bama kid hit him up. That wasn't a Bama running back.
Yeah,
They hit him up like, hey, you got room for me? I mean, you got a kid out of Bama. You're on the right direction. It's just, I think that for some people to be so upset with him is mind blowing. Number one, especially people that have, let's say people that have a decent amount of say a lot of money to help with HBCUs, is that, okay, if he would have been there again this year, how much money are you going to be putting in an endowment for him?
right.
How much money are we going to be pumping into that school? Because if y'all really wanted him there, he could have stayed there if you started, even in his second year, when they went undefeated the second year, more money gets pumped in. Pump in more money.
Yeah.
If you pump in more money, he's going to be able to get the better facilities. Because you got to keep in mind, some of his salary went to improving their facilities. He contacted Michael Strahan to get them some decent clothing to wear to games. He had there's so many things that he had to do that he no longer has to do because now he's at Colorado.
Right.
You can't compete with a $7 million facility when you're over there playing in the dirt.
You can't.
And it doesn't sound right, but that's unfortunately that's how a lot of HBCUs are aesthetically. Even my boys that go to Oakwood.
Right.
When they decided they had never been out there, I was like, hey guys, listen. They had been on field. I took them to different universities across the states. I took one of them to Mizzou. He sees Mizzou. He saw Bama. I took him to Bama his freshman year. He's walking Bama. And so when he was sitting in class with me last year, he's like, hey, I'm gonna go to Oakwood. He's like, hey, I'm gonna tell you something, man. It ain't Bama aesthetically. Now, the people will make it amazing for you. You meet your best friends. The experience will be amazing. But you think you're going there for top notch everything? It's gonna be harder.
It is.
But like you were going back to, that's the problem that we have is not enough money. Period. Not just in athletics, is being put back into these schools.
So what do we do? All right. So the bigger issue is culture. What do we do as a people to lure those? Because what we're saying is that kid, that person, that these schools, they're making a lesser decision for their future by going to these schools versus going to these PWI schools.
Right.
And what do we do to change that look, that outcome?
Well, one, I think you have to create those that are you got to raise more money. I mean, bottom line, you got to raise more money. And you can never stop raising money.
Yeah.
You have to continuously raise money, but you have to also allow people to see that the money that has been raised is put to good use. I think a lot of times the mismanagement of money allows people to then step back and say, man, I'm not giving anymore. And then once that word gets out for that, whatever university that is, then it ceases to actually exist, more money coming in. Whereas if you go to this place, and I get it, these prominent football schools, every time you pull up, they got something brand new.
Yeah.
But if you go to a lot of PWIs, essentially, they're always building, they're always growing. They have a bigger student body and a bigger endowment and all that kind of stuff. But when you go and you see, it makes you want to give. But also, okay, go ahead.
Oh no, my bad. I think when you talk like that, I think alumni is a very a resource that we just don't tap into. We just don't, for some reason, we just don't embrace change.
Well, the big key though is no organization. So if I can say anything about it is this. So my brother went to a PWI, he went to Appalachian State University. Quarterly, they have meetings in different parts of the country for all alumni. This happens every quarter. And it's something so simple as a group of guys and girls going to get some wings. But they connect with each other to assist people in different careers. Because I might know somebody that you might know somebody. Right? And then they meet up at the university. They're all engaged in the university.
Yeah.
All right. If you go back to, I don't know every HBCU, but I know the one I went to, we don't have those things set in place. Whereas you have your homecoming weekend, but you don't have things across the country that are happening quarterly or once every 6 months or once even a year that are different locations across the country to take the kids that just graduated and then say, hey, what do you want? What do you want to do? Oh, I'm in this career. Oh, I got you, man. I got this guy right here. So we're not connecting each other. And since you're not connecting each other, you don't see the value of the university because you haven't been in a long time.
Correct.
So then you become disconnected. And then they want to do a phone drive or whatever to raise some money. But by that time, you're so far disconnected with the university that you don't know where to start then.
And homecoming and alumni, that masks that camaraderie and that networking because we're more partying or excited to see, but we're not creating a network of a system that allows us to pass on and give back. That's this is my 25th year out of Oakwood, and that's one of the things that we've discussed. They don't even realize, and there's not nothing negative or anything, but we have to introduce ourselves to our school, reintroduce ourselves to our school. And I think sometimes it's not just always left up to the school, but sometimes it's left up to us, because I think out of our frustrations, a lot of times we get frustrated. But we still need to do our part as far as figuring out ways, like you said, throughout the country in different times of the year to be able to reconnect and connect. I think we do that a lot through our churches.
Mm-hmm. But that's got to be separate.
Right. That's still
that.
It needs to be a business. Like this
it's a business. If you are let's say a marketing executive, right? And then we have people that have graduated from there that are marketing executives that have high-powered jobs and high-paying jobs.
Yes.
But you would hire a kid that you knew was trained. I'm not saying give anybody, Joe Smo, a job. Right. But if you were able to be introduced to a young man that's about to graduate and you say, hey, you need entry-level work? I got you, man. I own the company.
Yeah.
But we don't even know that.
We don't even know that.
When you think about it, now, like you said, though, I can go out I can go to Atlanta and run into a whole bunch of people randomly. Right. Or I'll see him at church.
Right. But that doesn't mean.
That doesn't mean it as much as opposed to saying, okay, September 28th, there's going to be a networking event for all Oakwood grads or Fisk grads or whatever HBCU there is, Jackson State grads, at this restaurant. We've rented out this space. And this space is going to be utilized for us to network with each other, just catch up with each other, but see if you know some people to help some other people. Or what do we want to do as a part of the country to increase the endowment for this university?
And what's unique about that is with Deion, he was able to connect those dots. Mm-hmm. He was not necessarily an alumnus of Jackson State, right, but he knew those things that would allow him to use the platform. And I think we get caught up in Jackson State's platform and Deion Sanders' platform. And when it collided, we felt as though that Deion's platform was Jackson State's platform. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? He was that because now he had the opportunity to get the suits, to get the because it's Deion. You know what I'm saying? Head coach of Jackson State is not getting no American Airlines to fly a team over to Miami.
You right.
It's not happening. He has
You right.
the cachet to be able to do that. And I think that when it goes back to like even our black churches. When we get a dynamic pastor and we going to church every week. We go to church every week. But when that pastor decides to go to another church, we stop going to church because we don't want to hear that new pastor. You know what I'm saying? So now it becomes not about the church, it becomes about the pastor.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? And we as a culture have to get out of that.
That's true, because as a culture, we have to get to the mindset that when someone moves on, that we believe that the next person moving in will enhance.
They're not gonna find nobody like Deion.
That's gonna be hard. They're not with that, but they could have somebody. That's gonna be hard. I mean, they can try to get Mike Vick. There's nobody that can galvanize a group of people and has the network that Deion has.
They did one name. I heard one name.
Who?
Ray Lewis.
Ray Lewis could do it. Ray Lewis could do it. And if they got Ray Lewis, he could do it. And then you make Mike Vick the offensive coordinator.
Oh, that's beautiful.
There it is. Now I need to go ahead and post that everywhere. Let Ray Lewis be the head coach.
Right.
And then give the offense to Mike Vick. Because then you can still be getting those kids. If
they get another splash like that, I think that brings the credibility of Jackson State even more.
Yes.
Because the athletic department, the athletic director, is able to go get. Like, Deion is good for PR, but we're going to keep raising the bar every single year.
That's what they need to do.
That's what they need to do.
That's the next step that they need to do, because you don't want to lose the momentum that they built. Because if you lose all this momentum, it's a wrap.
It's a wrap.
So you got to think about it, man. Deion has brought a lot of notoriety to HBCUs in general.
Correct.
He really has.
Yes.
He really has. And if you get the right coach that's next coming through, they're not going to be as grand, but they'll stay on the same path. As long as they're the same path, then other guys will be coming through along the woodworks.
But
hey. We were being wishful, man. We're being wishful, because I do want to see a HBCU thrive, because it was good to see. It was good to see, man.
We can use, if they are smart, the HBCUs can use the fact that D1s, NBA, the NFL are not hiring our coaches.
Mm-hmm.
They're not hiring ours.
Mm-hmm.
So good opportunities to start hiring high qualified coaches to coach these kids, and they could get a step. I just hate the fact that the next step is D1 and not us. Like we're the stepping stone to the next level.
But I talked to a friend though that had a kid. I'm not gonna say the kid's name, but he's one of the best college basketball players in the nation, and not one HBCU ever contacted him. And there's the issue, is they actually defeat themselves before they won't even. You go to Dallas right now, you can recruit the all NBA players basically out of Dallas.
Right.
Just go recruit, but you won't even see a HBCU come through there to try to get these kids.
Yeah, but it's like this.
They don't have the infrastructure, man.
Oh, if you can get that chick or not. Like, if you could get that woman, that job. Like I know my facilities are bad. I'm doing that kid a disservice by trying to come over here. So why would I waste my time? Deion could do it because he's Deion.
That's true.
Forget what's going on over there. I'm gonna get you to the next level. You know what I'm saying?
And that's why Travis Hunter went out there. It had nothing to do with Jackson State. It was everything to do with Deion.
You can't go to Alabama, look at all their facilities, and say, I'd rather go to Jackson State. Like, come on. Let's just be honest with you. What we're selling as HBCUs and as a community is our culture. It's our it's not even education. It's not even education sometimes. You know what I'm saying? It's that we should teach our own, and we know where you come from. We know what it expects, and we're gonna go ahead and teach you and get you to the next level in that capacity. That's it. But so much information now is on social media that these kids coming up now are understanding the whole game.
Right. No, that's true. So then what? All right. So I think we broke that down all the way from a standpoint of like what the importance of our HBCUs, but also what we need to do to improve them, and then understanding that Deion did have to make the move. And my big thing for him making the move is it allows other people to have a seat at the table, and that's what we need. We need just more people at the table.
But let me be very clear on he had to make the move. But let me be very clear.
Okay.
Clear.
Be very clear, brother.
Yeah, I still believe criticism that he deserves by making that decision. That doesn't mean he's a sellout. That doesn't mean that he should not have done it. But there's a level of criticism that he should not be given for what he actually he did. There are kids there that are hurt. There are families there that are hurt. This is what comes when you're in the coaching field and you're trying to advance your career on the college level. You're gonna promise kids and lead kids.
Okay. But do we have that same type of energy when a regular, when Brian Kelly left Notre Dame?
Oh, let's just say Nick Saban leaves Alabama.
I don't think we have this same level of frustration.
Let me say this.
Mm-hmm.
That's because, and I'm glad you brought this up. That's because Nick Saban has created a foundation and a culture that his next coach will step in, and his predecessor will be of such where it's not going to skip a beat. And I think and I believe that a lot of people felt that Deion was going to lay that foundation.
I can't hear you. Okay, bro. Yeah, I got you now. Go, bring it, brother.
I think a lot of people thought that Deion was going to lay that culture and that foundation down so that his predecessor, so that it can go on beyond him. And I think a lot of people are upset because of that. He didn't even have a graduating class. We don't know if he can put NBA, NFL. We don't know. I know he can, but we don't know. He has a better chance in Colorado without doubt, because he's going to get a lot more recruits because of the program that he's going to. But they thought that from a law, it's like this. I own a company, and I'm looking to hire the best candidate to take my company to the next level. He takes my bottom line from $5 million to $20 million in 3 years, and then he decides to go to another company. Like, from my standpoint, I'm like, that's painful. That's hurtful. You know what I'm saying? And I think you can't act as if that people should not be mad when you make that decision. They have a right to be upset. They have a right to feel some kind of way. That's all I've been trying to say.
Okay.
Are upset that there are families today that are looking to get in the transfer portal to get their son to a different place. If I'm a junior in college, or if I'm a senior in college, I'm hot. And
I'll tell you, and I agree with you on that from this standpoint, that he should have seen a graduation class if he could have, but also he should have allowed Jackson State to see if they can't match it financially, but just see if what can you match? What can you give me? How much more power can you give me while I'm here?
Yeah, but
but they don't have
it. They just don't have it.
They don't have it. And that goes back to all things we've been saying. It's just unfortunate that you have to make a decision like that, and it's not based on maybe what you even want to do. It's just financially, it ain't close.
Prime time. You know what I'm saying?
Like,
But he also made the comment that it wasn't about money. When you know, it was about purpose. It was about
and I think that's the thing that a lot of people holding on to, and even me. The frustrating piece is, yo, man, you were planting a seed as if you were gonna be here for 5 to 7, not 2 to 3. And in his mind, he probably already was already thinking, hey, I'm out of here in a couple of years. If I have 2, 3 good years, I'm out. But he was selling the whole notion that we about to uplift these HBCUs and go get all of our kids and bring them all here.
Right.
And that's what he's selling. So he was basically just being a good salesman.
Right. All the best kids, if they can play, they're gonna come to Jackson State.
Yeah. And he got one five-star, and then after he got Travis Hunter, which is his 5-star, he didn't stay for another class because come February,
never played.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, and he didn't hardly ever play too.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I mean,
I
don't know, because the thing is with him, he didn't need, of course everybody needs 5 million, but he didn't need the 300,000. So he's a man that's well off.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a coach who's not well off. I'm going to take the 300,000 because I've never had 300,000 to coach anything. So, but he's not going to have the cachet as Deion has because he just wants to coach. He doesn't like Deion came with a cameraman.
Oh, Deion came with all of it. I mean, he
came with a whole
crew.
New age way of showing people how to coach people.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right. Even breaking down when he was bringing in, you ain't got a lot of coaches that could bring in Ray Lewis, Mike Vick, Chad Johnson on a like that. Yeah. John Lynch, the safety for, the ex safety for the Bucks, but the GM of the Niners was out there.
Right.
And at Jackson State,
along with all the rappers. So
I do wish he would have stayed a little bit longer, but I understand his move that he had to make, and I'm glad that he has a foot at the door though. As far as like, if you have a couple good years here, then you're able to allow some other guys to have some good years as well. But man, before I let you go, man, appreciate your time. First of all, I know you're the busiest man I know. Shoot, flying around, being in Egypt, chilling. I'm out here.
Just got back tonight.
I know, but I really do appreciate your time. Because, it was a hot topic. We had to get it in quick because we can't let it die down. Because by tomorrow or by Thursday, I think it's going to be like backstory.
We'll be back to. We don't even talk about Kyrie and Kanye this week because Deion is in the front.
Well, we're going to get back on about that because that's a whole other topic. Before I let you go, though, so anytime I interview somebody, I always want to ask my final 4 questions. I'm a basketball guy. So, number 1 for you, brother, do you have any regrets?
You say in life itself?
In life. Share some wisdom, brother. Share some wisdom.
As I grow older, discipline. Number 1 thing is discipline. If I had known what discipline actually entailed, as far detailed, I think that would have been something would have been more advantageous to me. That you don't have a lot of time. 70, 80 years seems a long time, but in actuality, it's not at all. You know what I'm saying? So if you could be disciplined on what you want to do, I probably should have gone to Egypt 10 years ago, 20 years ago. You know what I'm saying? But, when you're not disciplined, you want to do a whole bunch of other stuff, and you're not just doing what you need to do. I think I would have told myself to be disciplined enough to do whatever you want to do at that age right there.
Appreciate that. That's a book I read that was talking about the difference between discipline and motivation.
Yeah.
Motivation is quick. Like, get excited, but discipline is doing it when you don't want to.
That's right.
And it's continuous. It's the day that you don't want to do it, you're disciplined enough to do whatever it is that you need to do. All right, question 2, brother. What is your favorite book?
Oh, I'm biased because my dad's the author. I'm gonna do 2 plugs right quick.
Share it, brother.
I am reading E.T.'s book, Eric Thomas, my guy. That's a good book. But my father, one of the books he wrote was Cornelius Struggle. It talks about being a black man, a black family, and being accused of a crime and going to jail. We also got another book that he wrote that we're about to publish in his honor since he's been gone. We're working on 2 of his books that he hasn't yet published that we're going to publish in his
That's
honor.
phenomenal, man.
Coming up soon. So look for that. The first one is A Price to Pay. And the second one is John's Struggle. It's the second part to his first book, Cornelius Struggle.
Okay, I'm about to get all 3 of those. So I'm gonna let you know now. I'm gonna need all 3 of those. That's fantastic, man.
I got you.
Applaud you on that. All right. Number 3. What is the best advice you've ever received?
It's something I did. I'm going back to my father again.
Go back to it, man.
It's probably the best advice. You get advice, but you don't always adhere to the advice.
Mm-hmm.
So one of his quotes he used to always tell me is, never start something that you're going to have to end. And that's a tough one. You know what I'm saying? And he used to always tell me that if you know you're going to have to end it, never start.
That's deep, though.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I like with red meat and all of that stuff, or shrimp, or I just never ate it because I knew that it was going to taste good. For me, I just said, I just not going to try it. You know what I'm saying? Not for no religious reason. It's literally like, I'm not going to try because I know that bacon be smelling good. You know what I'm saying? But I just decided I'm not going to try it. So I just leave it alone.
Okay. And then my final question is, what would you tell your 18-year-old self?
Now that's a good question. Start sooner. Just start sooner. Just whatever it is. Just my sister always talk about do it scared. Just start whatever it is you're doing. Like, I don't care what it is in life. If you could just do it over again. I always say like this: if you had went and borrowed $1 million from the bank and just messed that up, just bet on your life and messed it up, and it's on your credit. It's on your credit for 7 years.
It's gone.
It's gone after 7 years. At 23, by the time you're 30, you would either be a millionaire or it'd be off your credit. You know what I'm saying? So like, if I had to tell myself sooner or later, put yourself around people that are willing to show you something different and expose you to something greater. Yeah, that's it. And another thing, whatever you're thinking, it ain't big enough. It ain't big enough. That's what I would tell my 18-year-old self.
Dude, that's
whatever I tell you.
That's wild that you just even finished with that, because so I'm rereading a book that I love. It's called Think and Grow Rich, because I had to administer some tests today. I had administered some tests today, so I was stuck just watching kids know tech and all that. So I basically read the first 200 pages again, but I've already read it before. Yeah. And that's what you just hit on the head with, like, whatever your desire is, stop making it rational. Yeah. And that's the problem that I think all of us have, is that we think too rationally about what we really desire out of this life. And like you said, 70, 80 years is not a long time. No, it's not. But we would literally say, let me just get this and I'll be happy. And it's a number that we can, let's say, or a house, the size of a house that we can actually think that we can actually get. And then we set that desire to that, as opposed to saying, man, I want a 15,000 square foot house. Right. I want $2 million. I want a $2 million job. I want to be a head coach of a D1 school, whatever it may be. We literally just say, I just want to be a coach. Right? And you will be blessed with that desire to be a coach. But you might be a coach of your local AAU team or local high school team, as opposed to saying, man, you know what? At this one journey I get through life, I want this out of it.
Yeah.
And then we limit ourselves. So, no, you're right, man.
Well, I'm going to tell you what's crazy. I didn't realize until both of them died how much alike they were. And that's why Kobe's one of my favorite players. Forget players. Favorite people of all time. My father and Kobe had a work ethic and a discipline that I just did not possess growing up. Like my father, literally, if he had an idea in his head, he could not sleep. Well, me, my ass, if I think of something, I must keep my bed and I'll forget about it the next day. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't like that. You know what I'm saying? And when you hear Kobe in these stories,
he said the same thing though. Kobe said the same thing. He would get up. It's something would pop in his mind, and he would get up and go to his office and get to writing.
Get to going.
Putting it on paper. Just putting your thoughts on paper, and then rationalize them later. But just get it out. Get it in the air.
I'm talking about he be driving and he write notes on the dashboard, like driving, writing and stuff. You know what I'm saying? That kind of stuff is like rare amongst people. You know what I'm saying? You gotta like understand that if you can get a little bit of that, because listen, well, Kobe said this, and I see my desk. It's not something that you do overnight. It's something that you do over time. It comes now just a part of your DNA. So when you go into your second life, your second part of your life, he couldn't play basketball no more, but that same ethic and that same way of going about it, he used on the next level. You know, like, and those are the kinds of things that I learned from just those two people, especially in the afterlife when you look back over someone's life and you remember those times. That alarm, put that alarm in my head. Those things I would tell my 18-year-old self.
Well, man, I appreciate your time, man. I really thank you for that. The ending was awesome. Seriously, man. Because I share all this. Like a lot of my students listen and watch my podcast. Of course, we're growing it and all those type of things. But my thing is really to share wisdom with kids that are in the inner city that don't have all these the people that have this type of knowledge to share that with them. It's so important for them to hear it, especially for minorities. It's important for them to hear it because it's not something they hear every day, unfortunately. Yeah. So even you just sharing those four questions right there just allows kids, okay, start sooner. Right? Don't wait. Yeah. Don't hesitate. If I have an idea, just try. My thing is just try. If you fail, you fail.
Yeah, I got one last quote, and then we go.
All right, brother.
I was also told there is a millionaire in every single profession if you just think big. It's a millionaire in every garbage, teaching, like whatever that profession is. It ain't basketball. It ain't drugs. It ain't this doctor. It ain't lawyer. Like in everything that you can think of in this life, there's a millionaire that's out there doing it.
Yeah, you're gonna drop the mic on that one, brother. No, that was amazing, man. Appreciate the time, brother.
Good
All right, bro. I love, brother. All right. Yes, sir.